what are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
Well, those comments not sitting well with the 74 million people who voted for former President Trump or Trump himself.
The 45th president responding, quote, inflation, incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan, leaving hostages horribly wounded, soldiers, $85 billion of military equipment. MAGA is saving America. He is being very divisive. Fox News contributor Lara Trump joins us now. Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, guys. Great to be with you.
It seems President Trump had a pretty good rebuttal to the MAGA crowd being the most extreme political. I don't really understand where the president was going with that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, Joey, is absolutely absurd, of course, coming from Joe Biden. But I think my father-in-law has a point. You know, you look back to what Donald Trump was able to do in just one term in office. In 4 years, Donald Trump positioned America better than any previous recent president in 2 full terms in office. And it is the policies of Donald Trump that could actually go to righting the ship now, to saving America, to turning us back on the right track. You know, when you have things like a military more concerned with pronouns than military readiness, you got a fully open southern border. I mean, really just letting anyone in, whether they're, you know, wishing us well or not. We've seen all these terrorist cells now, people coming into America. You have 40-year high inflation, embarrassments by our sitting president and vice president on the world stage that weakens us. You know, you don't have to look that far back to see that every policy Donald Trump had in place, whether border, energy, you know, so many different fronts, would right the ship now for America. So, yeah, maybe the MAGA movement, Joe Biden, wouldn't be such a bad thing if you took a couple notes from Donald Trump.
Well, we know that the current president doesn't hold a lot of formal interviews. And then there's this, according to Politico, quote, Biden aides prefer the fake White House stage built in the old executive office building next door for events, sacrificing some of the power of the historic backdrop in favor of an otherwise sterile room that was outfitted with an easily read teleprompter screen. Critics would look at that and say, oh boy, the administration is really holding the president's hand here.
Yeah, Carly, this is published in Politico. I mean, these are people that are usually kind of bolstering Joe Biden up. And, you know, you kind of think about how bad a look this is. If you had an opportunity to broadcast from anywhere in America, the Oval Office, that is the best possible setting. But what is happening in the White House, sadly, it's sort of like what I do with my kids. If I'm out looking for a playground, I'm looking for one that's fenced in, because when you have individuals that can't fully take care of themselves, you have to do everything you can to make your life easier, to protect them. It's sort of the same situation going on at the White House right now. But again, you go back to Donald Trump. I mean, man, it was a hostile press corps going after him, yet he took any and every question in the Oval Office, not a fake set, on the way to Marine One, on the way to Air Force One. At every speaking engagement he had, he was transparent with the American people and communicating with the press. It is a very different situation right now, obviously, in the White House. And even, guys, with all of this help, even with the fake White House set with the big teleprompter, Joe Biden still bumbles around, still gets confused, still embarrasses himself, and by default, America. So look, when people are looking at this, whether you're a United States citizen, a friend, or a foe to America, it does not make you feel very good that the leader of the free world doesn't even basically have control of himself, doesn't make you feel like he's really in control of anything else.
You know, on that topic real quick, we only have a few seconds here. If this is all about holding his hand and keeping him on script, it kind of makes you wonder if he believes some of the things he's saying, like with Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of stuff, Joey's probably pre-scripted for him. They hand him a little note. Unfortunately, we could figure that out if they would let the press do their job, ask questions, and the press would do their job. Man, could you imagine if they gave Joe Biden a third of the questions that they had given to President Donald Trump? Very different scenario.
Yeah, I have the numbers here. Biden, 22 presidential interviews. Trump, 92. Obama, 156. Got to leave it there. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.